which I'm a little surprised with. Wentz on 2nd and goal. Pocket collapses. Wentz trying to buy some time. He's going to tuck it away, run for it. Lunges end zone for the touchdown. What a run by Wentz.
What up, All About the Birds Nation? This is the All About the Birds post-game show. Eagle Jeff, Phil Stifle, and you, if you want to get involved, check the comment section. Let us know on how you feel about today's game. As the Philadelphia Eagles, what the hell just freaking happened? They tied the Cincinnati Bengals for the second time in NFL history today, tying the Bengals 23-23. A lot to get into as we break down this freaking debacle of a football team as they once again tie the Bengals, going 0-2-1 in the season. It looked like a promising game towards the end as the defense played well in overtime, but once again, Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson, and the offense just could not get anything. Well, they got a little bit of a drive going, but a late game penalty by Matt Pryor that pushed the Eagles back 5 yards after they were in position for a huge field goal by Jake Elliott to win this game in overtime. And you can't make this crap up. I'll say JP goes down with an injury. Matt Pryor freaking has that big penalty. Horrible play calling on that last drive by Doug Peterson to get way too conservative instead of trying to push the rock a little bit more. I understand you were out of timeouts, but you still had plenty of time and a couple downs to use to try to move the football a little bit more for them to possibly get in a better position to win the football game. But I don't know what to say. I would say, me personally, I thought this was a double-digit victory for the Eagles. I know Joe Burrow and the Bengals are playing well the last couple of weeks, but I kind of felt with the Eagles' backs up against the wall, they would have had a better chance and a better game plan in winning this football game. And they just look like a laughingstock out there. Phil, Bobby Dubs from All Out Last Out Media is joining the show as well. And if you want to get involved, check the comment section. We want to hear your thoughts about today's 23-23 tie to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, do you expect anything less than a tie? I mean, it is 2020. You know, everything else has gone wrong in 2020. Why not have a tie with the Bengals? We all thought the Eagles were going to be 3-0, maybe 2-1 after the first 3 games. And here we are, 0-2-1. And you said it, the conservative play call from Doug Peterson at the end. That's
positive, like a half win.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that. I mean, I have my pages of notes from the game here, you know, and I wrote it multiple times throughout this game. Doug Peterson's play calling, way too conservative, way too, here and there, like all over the place. There's no identity on the offense because he doesn't know what he's doing on the play calling. But at the end of the game, how are you running those conservative plays when you have a chance to go down and kick a field goal to win the game in overtime? I mean, the play calling, and I tweeted it out in a lot of different comments online today during it. It might be time, and today's game might be final proof that Doug Peterson might have to give up play calling duties. I'm not sure what your 2 thoughts are on that, but that might be something that we have to really discuss and Eagles Nation has to think about big time, before next week's game.
It's definitely come to that. I mean, it's definitely come to that. It's to this point that we're starting to realize that maybe all along it wasn't Doug. Maybe it was Steve Olivo and Frank Reich. Maybe it was them the entire time in 2017 when we became enamored with this football team and their offensive efficiency and their exciting play calling. Maybe it wasn't him at all. Maybe we fell for the charade. We drank the Kool-Aid. We believed Doug was this innovator, and it just wasn't to be. It was all smoke and mirrors. Those 2 have gone, and now we get what we get, which is play calling that is nothing but generic and actually predictable, and that teams have caught on to.
Yeah, I mean, 2 specific things on that whole topic. I mean, when it was in the 4th quarter, or was it overtime, where Carson missed that swing throw to Miles Sanders down the left side of the field. there is not one person that knows anything about football that did not. I mean, it was a bad throw. It was a missed throw, but it was so blatantly obvious what they were running on that play from the start of the play to the end. It just shows they have no identity. They have no way of designing real plays out there. I mean, and the rotations. I know we scored a touchdown there at the end of the game on the Wentz rush, but Sanders on first down from the 19-yard line had a big rush up the middle for like 7 yards to start that goal line section there. And they took him off the field on second and third, and he did not see the field again the rest of that drive. Wasn't hurt, obviously. So what's going on with the rotation there when you have a guy like Miles Sanders? You keep him on the field in the goal line situation the entire time. So it's definitely an issue right now. The play calling, the rotation of the players, all these things. And like you said, maybe there's a lot more to do with the other coaches that we had working under Peterson, because Peterson looks lost out there. He doesn't look like a coach in his fourth, fifth season. He looks like a rookie coach out there that doesn't belong out there at all.
Absolutely right.
Well, yeah, and I'll say, look at that late in the fourth quarter. I'll say it's 3rd and 19, and they do a big swing out the 3rd and 12 play. They do a freaking screen to Greg Ward when they could pick up a little bit more yards, put yourself in a better position to try to put yourself in a better position for a short field goal or something. So I'll say just the overall, like you said, the identity, the play calling, this team is completely inept. And they can't get anything rolling. And then I'll say Dougie P for the longest time. This was the Bengals defense that gave up 250 yards on the ground to the Browns last week. And Miles Sanders, I think, had 1 carry. You took the ball out. You won your best playmakers' hands by having him have 1 carry like over a quarter and a half. They went pass on that big on that one drive where they had a huge 3-and-out in their own territory, except in the game of field position.
Yeah, no, we could break down so many different moments where there's bad play calling throughout this thing here. I mean, there's so many different spots, and we could blame and rag on Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz's inability to play consistent right now. But what about the team also that he has to work with? I want to give you guys some numbers here today. Who went the next wide receiver after Jalen Reagor in the NFL draft round 1 this year?
Jefferson.
Yeah, did you see his stat line today?
Hey, he went off.
He went 175 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. Jalen Reagor, I know, was not, he was hurt and he was out. But
and look at
T. Higgins had 5 catches, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. You look and we keep looking at these guys. They got Reagor, they got Hightower. I wrote a note early in the game how bad he was blocking on a Sanders play. He was supposed to be a stretch block on a stretch run from Sanders, just completely missed a block. We got Hightower, we got Reagor. Instead of people like Higgins and Jefferson, we go back to last year with Arcega-Whiteside and DK Metcalf. I know that topic has been talked about way too much, but so we really have to talk about Doug Peterson and the identity of the team, but we also have to talk about Howie Roseman and the identity of the team that he has given Doug Peterson to blow. It's the entire upper management of this team is just a complete train wreck at this moment.
Yeah, and it's not even on one side of the ball. It's on both sides of the ball. I don't know if anyone has noticed yet, but they have virtually no takeaways going into these 3 games.
I think it's 0, isn't it?
Yeah, they have nothing.
It's atrocious. It is atrocious. They have given the ball away so much and refuse to even amount to take the ball back. It's just because I'm pathetic at this point. You can't win any games when you give away possessions. You give the other team 2 possessions all the way. I've given up any hope that at any point when they're on defense, they're going to get a takeaway. There's going to be a pick or a fumble recovery. And it's just not going to happen with whatever Jim Schwartz is doing defensively with his scheme. You can just give up that dream. This team is not going to be able to take a football.
I agree. There's no playmaker on this defense that opposing offenses really fear. The next closest guy I would say is probably Slay, as being that playmaker, which he was out for quite a bit of time. Thankfully, he had that 2 plays in overtime to force the punt in that game. But defensively, I would say they had their moments today, but overall they played well. They allowed the Bengals defense Okay, not well. They kept them in the game. I'm sorry.
They played mediocre at best. They played like a 500 team out there.
And I would say they allowed 4 straight punts in that first half. Granted, it's the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow, a rookie quarterback. I would say this ain't the Saints or the Packers or an elite team. So I get the level of competition they were playing, but they kept them in the football game. And the front four, I would say, getting to the quarterback was a lot better this week. That was the one thing we missed the last couple weeks with getting to Jared Goff and Dwayne Haskins and allowing these quarterbacks to be too comfortable in the pocket. But I'll say some of it was execution. Some of it, again, is Jim Schwartz's game plan. There were a few things I was a little surprised by him today. He did a little bit bring a little bit more blitz packages, like that big play on that play action rollout that they brought Jalen Mills on a blitz to force the punt. So that was a big play there. But overall, this team's in shambles. There's no denying. There's a reason why this team is 0-2-1 at the moment and tying the team that had the number 1 pick last season.
You say about the defense and Schwartz, I wrote it down, and I know I've been bashing it for years. I tried to get Craig James when we had him on talk about it. I couldn't get him to talk bad about Jim Schwartz at all. But the sticks defense, that third down play late in the game, that sticks prevent defense, it is just a train wreck of a play. And I don't know why he continues to call it, because it has burned him so many times. And I wanted to throw that out there. But the one other name about the defense, I wrote one name down multiple times in bold letters with the word sucks next to it and circled it. You know which guy I'm writing about? I mean, I know you know, Jeff, but yeah, Nathan Geary. He sucks. He is awful. He is a train wreck of a linebacker. How he's a starting linebacker in the NFL. I couldn't play linebacker, but you know what? I might do just as bad as he is out there. It's pretty awful.
You couldn't do any worse.
I couldn't. I could miss tackles. I mean, he jumps to block the passes every time. He never gets there. You know, I can sit in the zone and let people throw over my head nonstop. You know, it's not that hard. It's awful.
But as we're bashing the defense, they definitely they had their moments today. But I'll say switching sides a little bit offensively once again. Just another net performance and another struggling game for our franchise quarterback, Carson Wentz. Granted, he did put them in position at the end of the game with that big touchdown run to tie it to send it to overtime. But another 2 turnovers for Carson Wentz, 6 on the season already. He had 7 all last 3 seasons. So I would say, what are your guys' thoughts? I would say just looked like Carson was out there, like he was missing throws again. He was making bad decisions. He was second guessing himself. There was plenty of times where they were showing on the screen where he could have pulled the trigger, but he didn't. I don't know if he's playing scared, which you can't do that in the NFL. You can't do that, especially with the struggles that this offense is having so far. You have to pull the trigger and make those type of throws. And right now, Carson Wentz isn't doing that. And that's one of the main. I know we want to bash Doug because he has been a horrible job with his play calling, but once again, it all comes down to execution of your players. And if your franchise quarterback isn't executing and making those plays, it's not going to matter what Dougie P calls. So once again, your guys' thoughts. I would say, you guys feel it's time to pull the trigger. I know a lot of the fan base this game. You saw the couple plays that Jalen Hurts was in there. They had a little bit of success. He had big RPO first down run on second and 9. He did have that muffed fumble that almost thankfully Jason Kelce fell on it. But do you feel it's time to maybe get Jalen Hurts more involved with the offense? What are your guys' thoughts?
You want to start this one?
I mean, at this point, the regression we've seen in Carson Wentz is something we haven't seen in a certain amount of years in this city from an athlete that we coveted, that we put on such a pedestal. It's been week after week of the same nonsense of either holding the ball too long, making a terrible throw, misreading the coverage, making the throw into a double coverage or bad coverage. After a while, and I'm not one to you quickly yank the quarterback that's supposed to be your franchise quarterback, but after a while, your hands become tied by his play. And I'm at the point where it's like, maybe you have to see what Jalen Hurts can do, what he can do on the field, what he can bring to the table. Because at this point, it's become obvious that you are not going to get the play you need out of Carson Wentz week to week. I mean, it's nothing but turnovers, and then the fact that you don't have a defense that has a chance to overcome that, you may just have to make a change. It's just something you're just going to have to do. Whether it seems too quick, whether it seems hasty, it's something you may just have to do because of all the other mitigating factors that are compounding his terrible play. You can get through terrible play if you have a defense that's making stops, that's getting turnovers, getting the ball over. But when you don't have that and your quarterback stinks, you may need to make a change.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull that change. I am not going to make that change. All right, even if the person out there, whoever's listening, thinks Jalen Hurts is the future of this team, all right, I'm gonna break this down differently. Do you really want to put Jalen Hurts out there right now if he is a future franchise quarterback with a team that cannot block, that has no go-to wide receiver, with a coach that cannot give his best offensive weapon the ball, the running back, Miles Sanders? He had 18 rushes today. He had about 5 catches out of the backfield. He needed to touch the ball 25 to 30 times, not 22 times today. Okay? Are you really going to put your young, rookie, inexperienced franchise quarterback out there, with these issues? The one thing I pointed it out early in the game on Twitter, there was a play where Carson Wentz overthrew a pass, or I forget the exact play, but but Carson Wentz was busy. Instead of looking downfield where to go with the ball, he was looking at left tackle Jason Peters because he knew Jason Peters was getting blown up or potentially getting blown up on that side, and he was worried about that. You can't have a quarterback out there scared of their blind side and have any confidence. He has no confidence to pull the trigger, to throw the ball. I mean, Greg Ward had 8 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown today. I know I bash Greg Ward nonstop. You take that touchdown out of the game, which was a blown coverage on the Bengals defense, and he had another subpar game, 7 catches for 50 yards, a bunch of bubble screens that he couldn't break free, other plays where he couldn't get open or get any separation unless the Bengals left him open, which was 2 plays. The touchdown and one other slant over the middle left him wide open on those 2 plays. He can't do anything. So who's Carson? Who is Jalen Hurts? Who are these guys going to throw to? So you don't pull Wentz for Hurts right now because at least Wentz has some experience and can handle the ups and downs of the games. You don't want to completely trash Hurts' confidence at this point. But I will say I am retiring the Wentz's Elite hashtag officially for the rest of the season. I'm even if he goes on a tear and wins the next 10 games in a row, I will not hashtag Wentz's Elite one more time. But again, I really keep looking at that note in my book, and I wish I took better notes and could read my notes better. But when he was looking at Jason Peters instead of downfield, it just said everything you needed to say about Carson, his confidence, and what would happen if you put Jalen Hurts out there. And yes, Jalen Hurts is more of a running quarterback and might be able to escape some of that pressure, but you don't want to do that to a rookie quarterback. You just can't. The offensive line is just as much trash as the defense is. There's so many spots on this team. There are just so many holes that there's no confidence for Carson Wentz. You can see how scared he looks out there.
Yeah, not good stat line for Carson today. 29 of 47, 225 yards, only averaging 4.8 yards a pass, 1 touchdown, plus a touchdown run, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times with a quarterback rating of 62.8. He got outplayed by the rookie Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had a heck of a football game. 44, 312 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 8 times, which we kind of expect behind that horrible Bengals defense, but he still stuck in there and made plays with a quarterback rating of 105.5. So I'll say, and I agree with you. I don't know if it's right now is the time because, like Hannah has brought up the point, this division's horrible. Right now, I'll say the Giants lost today to the 49ers. They got blown out by them. I believe the Redskins lost to the Browns. Right now, the Cowboys are tied with the Seattle Seahawks 9-9. So if the Cowboys lose this football game, the Eagles are only a half a game out. So honestly, it might be a little bit. It might be another situation like we had in 2008 when when we thought that when the Eagles tied the Bengals the first time, how it was going to screw our season and we were going to miss the playoffs. And ended up helping us in Week 17. We needed everything magically to happen, but we're far away along from that. But it's kind of frustrating. And I would say you expect a lot better from this football team. You expect a lot better play from your quarterback. There's no heart once again. There's no execution. And just the mental mistakes. Like, again, that Matt Pryor false start on the field goal attempt to push them back 5 yards out of field goal range was just gut-wrenching. To have that happen, and as a head coach, that's I understand the players are the ones out there performing, but that's on head coach. You need to make sure that you need to hold these guys accountable. If they make mistakes on that football field in practice, you need to make sure they're prepared, and you need to make sure that this crap doesn't happen in the future. And it's constantly happening. The turnovers, the mental mistakes, the penalties. This team is a complete and utter disaster right now.
Yeah, something on that with obviously the false start on a field goal attempt, that just can't happen. I don't even remember the last time I saw a false start on a field goal. It's just basic 101. There's no snap count. There's nothing to throw you off. But with the miscommunication and with the lack of discipline and the lack of the way that this coach has gotten this team ready to play, a specific play I wrote down here. I mean, it was a first down catch from Zach Ertz late in the game, but Jonathan Hightower almost batted it out of the air because two guys were running the same route a yard apart from each other. Now, Hightower unluckily did not tip it out of Ertz's hands, but we might not even been talking about a tie at that point. How is Hightower being prepared for these games that he's just, running the exact same route as Ertz in the same exact place as Ertz? That's coaching. That's preparation. And that's what this team is lacking right now, the discipline to know where you're supposed to be. Again, if Hurts is out there instead of Wentz, maybe he doesn't have the right loft on that pass. I don't know. It's coming down to coaching for me and the team that's being put out there by the GM at this point. And they're both have done an absolute failure getting this team ready for the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and I'll say one of the other things you brought up, I'll say with Hightower being out there, it was kind of surprising when they opened that game with the 3 wide receiver set, and you saw Hightower ahead of your boy JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I'll say once again, no catches, no targets. I don't believe he was barely on the football field once again. It's about time that we move on from the JJ Arcega-Whiteside experiment. I'll say, what's the answer? I'll say, obviously, these guys aren't getting the job done. I'll say Deshaun was pretty much a non-factor for the most part. And he got hurt again and missed the rest of the game. JJ's not producing. You're taking the tight end away, and then Goddard got hurt, and I don't think he ever returned. So I would say they're dropping like flies. It's basically a dumpster fire right now when it comes to the Eagles' injuries, and I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. Do you really feel that these young guys on the practice squad like Deontay Burnett and a lot of these guys can step up their game? And I'll say Peters out there. I'll say that he struggled, and we all know the extent of his injury right now. But I would say they try giving him help. Surprisingly, Dougie P brought in Richard Rodgers for a little extra blocking help, and Peters was still getting destroyed up front with that inside move. I would say that's another horrible mistake by management and Dougie P, I assume, had a say in it by giving him the Peters, giving him that money, moving him to left tackle. I understand people are going to say, would Matt Pryor play even better? We don't know. Now we might have to know because we don't know how long the 38-year-old Jason Peters is going to be out. We'll find out hopefully this week. I'll say or from Doug Peters' press conference. Hopefully he addresses it soon. But this team's in shambles, and I would say ultimately, like you guys, it's coaching and the front office assembling this team and the lack of discipline and execution.
Yeah,
Bobby, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's just. In all phases of the game, it seems like there's a constant ineptitude when it comes to making the right play, being in the right spot. It goes from, on defense, is it Jim Schwartz not putting them in positions to make the right plays, or are they just not talented enough? On offense, it's like, is it the play calling, or just the person they have out there, Carson Wentz, making the play is not good enough? I understand the apprehension of throwing a rookie out there and making him swim, so to speak. But it's like, you also have to look at, does Carson Wentz have any type of trepidation that he could be replaced, that everything is not set, that everything is not peachy? You get quarterbacks in this league that think, well, they're not going to bench me. I'm going to be the guy regardless. So there's no accountability. No There's just nothing to make him want to play any better. It's like, oh, they're not going to bring him in because he's just going to be as bad as I am. So why do I have to give that maximum effort? It's like you just sat him for a game like they did do with McNabb, I believe, maybe in that season where they tied with Cincinnati, or I think it was 08 or 09 where they tied with Cincinnati. They sat him for a game, and he had to sit and watch and see and realize that your place is not held in granite. It's not held in stone. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, you can be moved. He still has the ego, I think, right now that regardless of what happens, that it's going to be him, and it is what it is, and I'll just have to figure it out. But it's just what every time this team seems like they have some footing and some place to go, and looks like they're getting one successful play after another. There's always something to hold them back. And this is just a not very good football team. And I think they have to realize that. There's times where you can have hope and say, hey, they'll get better. They can improve on this. And then there are other times we have to accept that this is just a bad football team.
Yeah, I would say there's no doubt about it. I would say Eagles Nation really has to come to the realization that I would say the Eagles' hopes for even making the playoffs this year, and you know how bad the NFC East is, it's on life support right now. I would say the next stretch of games, I would say next week they play the 49ers on the road, a team that is completely depleted, and they destroyed the Giants today. They were without their starting quarterback, running back, a lot of defensive players, including their leader, Nick Bosa, and they came out to play, and they still end up winning a football game. They have the Ravens. They have the Steelers, who are a 3-0 football team right now. And then you have your divisional opponents, Dallas later on in the year, of course. I would say they're always a tough matchup. And the fall of the season at 0-2-1, it's not the season's not too promising right now. And I'd say they really have to pick things up. I know this team has always been a team that gets off to a slow start, but this is outrageously even worse of a start than what we're used to.
Yeah, I mean, I've been starring other plays here. I mean, Wentz again got in the first quarter. There was a play on the goal line where he had a slant. It was first down. He had a wide open player. I'm not even sure who it was on the goal line, who was in the slot, whether it was Ward or somebody else. Wide open. He could not pull the trigger because he did not have the confidence to make that play. The play broke down. We didn't score a touchdown there. And the other thing, they did it once or twice. And I've talked about in the last two post-game shows that they need to run more up-tempo to get some rhythm going. They did it once or twice, but they didn't stick with it. And it worked, yes. And they didn't stick with it. So every time that there was some kind of momentum change, go back to that up-tempo. Carson likes the up-tempo play. And for some reason, Doug won't say, go run the up-tempo offense. I'm not sure why, but it's pretty frustrating at this point.
Yeah, this is the All About the Birds post-game show. We're breaking down the Eagles-Bengals. As the Eagles, if you're a little late to the game or didn't watch today's game, you didn't miss much. The Eagles tied 23-23 to fall to 0-2-1 on the season. We're still waiting for Carson Wentz's post-game press conference to hear what he has to say about today's performance and game as the Eagles once again tie the Bengals 23-23. You're watching, we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Phil, and myself and Bobby Bubs from Last Out Media. So I'll say once again, as we wait for Carson Wentz, it's I don't know. I just don't know where to pinpoint. There's just so many issues with this football team right now that you just don't know where they're going to fix it. At least in years past, you were able to pinpoint exactly where their problems were. Like the one year it was the kick returner. One year it's the receiver. One year it's an offensive lineman. This year the front office with this squad, I would say the linebackers are getting torn. The secondary isn't living up or isn't playing up to the standards that we thought they might have been with the interchangeable players that they had. And the offensive line is once again inconsistent. And then you didn't expect this play for your franchise quarterback to play as bad as he is. So,
do we have any positive to say about the game? Are you good?
The one positive I had is I would say the pass rush. The pass rush was basically non-existent the last 2 weeks, and today, granted, it was against a bad Bengals defense or offensive line and a rookie quarterback with Joe Burrow, who has played pretty well the first couple of weeks of the season, but he's one of those guys. The pass rush found a way to hit home. They sacked Burrow 8 times this game. They were able to rattle him a little bit, make sure he wasn't comfortable in the pocket. When there were a couple plays or a couple of times, he picked us apart coming out of the halftime. But he went like 11 or 13 straight passes to pick apart our secondary. So I would say that they have to play a little bit better there. But I would say the one positive I would take from this game was the defensive line getting to the quarterback, the pass rush. And honestly, as bad as Carson played, he still put us in the position to go into that overtime. He still came back with that fourth quarter game-tying drive, and that's something that I would say we haven't been able to see from him over the last couple seasons in putting the team on his back and making those moments.
You know, something I just saw a tweet. I was trying to go through to try to find some of Doug Peterson's comments from the press conference, but instead I saw a tweet from LeGarrette Blount. And I'm surprised no one has commented in our comment section. We've had a boatload of comments. Did anybody see what Nick Foles did in Chicago coming off the bench today?
Come back.
All week long. That's all we're going to get tweets from. That's all we're going to hear on Sports Talk Radio is Nick Foles, Nick Foles, Nick Foles. The thought process of maybe them getting rid of Allen Robinson, that's gone now because Nick Foles just got himself a team and needs Allen Robinson. I mean, you know, he wants to know what Nick Foles has got to do to earn some respect. But, man, you know, I'm surprised we haven't heard about that a little bit more today.
It has begun.
Yeah, exactly. It's either going to be a Jalen Hurts talk or it's going to be Nick Foles talk all week long.
Yep, I don't know what the Falcons did to deserve since blowing that Super Bowl against the Patriots, but they'll lose in the fashion they did last week, and then they'll lose this week the way they did with a backup quarterback coming off the bench. Man, I would say we think we have it bad. At least we're not losing in fashions like that, like they are in Atlanta.
Yeah. Anyway, back to positives of the game. I thought Darius Slay played really well. Obviously, he is as advertised. Shut down A.J. Green all game. He switched off into Tyler Boyd because Tyler Boyd was having a really good game. Shut him down for a little bit and then went back. And also, he made some bad plays, but he made some really good plays, and it was really surprising today was LeBlanc in the secondary. Played really well. Played better than Coleman, actually, for most of the game. Played better than Jalen Mills while Jalen Mills was in coverage. Obviously, Jalen Mills isn't a cornerback, and he isn't a safety. So, you know, it was nice to see LeBlanc step up. But, yeah, Darius Slay, definitely a positive also. Definitely is as advertised and worth the picks that we traded for him.
Real quick, Carson Wentz has stepped to the podium. We'll take you to his press conference.
And then Zach Berman.
Yeah, Carson, you lost Dallas early in this second possession. He has such an important role both in the run and pass game. How much did it hurt to lose him?
Yeah, I mean, losing a guy like Dallas that, like you said, he's got a huge role in protections and, you know, run game. But, I mean, he's a playmaker with the ball in his hands and down the field. So, you know, he's a big part of our game plan every week. And so losing him, we had to make some adjustments on the fly, makes it tough. And then losing D-Jack at halftime, you know, made it tough as well. And just trying to get guys going in the right place and trying to bring it all together. I mean, it's definitely challenging in the middle of a game, but I thought guys did a good job of you know, filling those spots when they could.
Zach, and then Dave Zangaro.
Carson, before the final drive,
what was the conversation with Doug on the sideline going over the play sheet there? And can you take us through that final drive?
The final drive of overtime?
Regulation.
Having a hard time hearing.
The final drive of regulation to tie the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was proud of the way the guys fought. You know, they had a couple penalties. You know, we kind of just slowly moving the ball down the field and, you know, getting completions and moving the chains as best we could and found a way to punch it in. So I was proud of the guys the way we rallied, especially after kind of a back and forth, not so clean game from us offensively. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dialogue with coach in terms of what plays we want to get to. We want to run the ball, throw the ball, who are our best matchups. And, kind of goes back to the first question and just we got plays designed, but we got new guys out there. So we got to find a way to get guys in the right spots. And we found a way at the end of regulation, at least, to tie it up.
Dave and then Tim McManus.
Hey, Carson, what was your reaction when Doug decided to punt basically for the tie in the overtime?
Yeah, I mean, I understood the decision. Tying is no fun. I don't think I've ever been in a tie, so it's just kind of an awkward way to end the game. But frustrating when you have a chance there to kick the field goal. And even with our drive offensively, a couple times we felt like we were in field goal range, we had plays, and then we had penalties, and things just kept backing us up. So the fight was there. The effort was there from guys. We just got to be smarter, play cleaner. I got to be better as well. And, yeah, it was a frustrating way to end the game for sure.
Tim and then Jeff McLean.
Can't hear you, Tim.
Jeff, why don't you step in?
Carson, you guys are known, Doug has always been known for his aggressiveness. What did you make of the decision not to go for 2 at the end of regulation to win it right there? And then also on 4th and 12, were you part of the discussions to maybe send the offense back out there and try and convert?
Both those decisions are coaches. I think coach felt good about our ability and our momentum, going into overtime to defense was playing well to get a stop and for us offensively to go down and get a score. So, I trust and respect coach's decision. Those are his to make. And, even the 4th down later, I think we were all kind of unsure as to what was going on even because we had a field goal lined up ready to go. And, I get it. They're tough decisions to make, and I trust coach fully.
Tim, if you're ready, and then John McMullen.
Can you run us through your 2 interceptions? Were they the right reads, and what were you seeing?
Yeah, the first one I felt good about. Ball gets tipped at the line. It's a bad feeling when you're back there and you're seeing the ball flutter through the air because it gets tipped at the line of scrimmage. Guy made a good play. And the other one, got aggressive there trying to get one in there to Ertz, and guy made a good play. And, that's something that I just got to be better with.
John and then Martin Frank.
Hey, Carson, more moving parts on the offensive line this week. Nate flipped sides. Matt Pryor was in there at right guard. I know you preach that next man up mentality, but how difficult all the moving parts. Then, as you mentioned, you lose Dallas, Deshaun in game. How much more difficult, and how does that change things on the fly?
Yeah, it's definitely always difficult. It's always a challenge. In a week, it's one thing. In a game, it's even tougher. But none of those things are excuses. Guys prepare and guys are ready to go. That's why we're all here, ready to go when our number's called. And I thought guys did a good job. Like I said earlier, I think guys stepped up where they needed to. And the O-line, I thought they played well. And I'll have to obviously watch the tape. But, I'm proud of the way guys are just, hey, next man up. There's no, big eyes like what's going on. Guys are ready to go. They know their stuff. And we got to just be better and play smarter.
We have time for 2 more, so let's go Martin Frank and then Marcus Hayes.
Hey, Carson. You seem to have another up and down kind of day. I guess Tim already asked you about the interceptions, but you had that one deep ball to Miles that you overthrew. You seemed kind of frustrated by that. But then you also had the really nice pass to Ertz. Are you still can you just kind of talk about just the ups and downs that you're still kind of going through here?
Yeah, really that's every game. You're going to miss a couple. You're going to, make some plays. Things happen. Obviously, I got to just be better. I got to, handle some of these. And some of them are communication, just make sure we're on the same page with everybody. And some are just, poor throws. And I got to be better. And I will. And guys are, we're still meshing and gelling as a team and building the chemistry. And, a lot of moving pieces today. And not as an excuse, but guys will continue to get this experience and learn from it. And we'll all be better, including myself.
Last question here with Marcus.
Hey, Carson. It looked, from our perspective anyway, like the Deshaun Jackson pass was into triple coverage. It looked like you threw to the wrong side to Zach Ertz. And clearly, I don't know if it was a timing issue, but you seemed to overthrow Miles Sanders on what would have been a touchdown ball. Are we not seeing what you're seeing? Is there something we're missing?
I'll have to watch the tape. Honestly, you go through a game and, you make poor decisions, you make great decisions. You make some good throws, you miss some throws. Some of them are communication. Some of them are unfortunate. Some guys are making good plays, and I got to be better, and I know that, and I will be. And, I'll learn from it. That's really all I can say.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Carson.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. As we stay on our toes, the players are going to be continuing.
And that was Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz following today's 23-23 tie to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the All About the Birds post-game live show, live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure to follow all those formats for all your Eagles content all season long, as we do a weekly live show on all those platforms every Wednesday, roughly 9:15 with myself, Phil, and Johnny. We are back. Myself, Jeff Warner, Phil Stifel, Bobby Dubs from Last Out Media joining the program. And you heard from the franchise quarterback Carson Wentz, and I would say he was asked a couple of questions. I was kind of hoping that he was asked like what was he seeing on a couple of those missed throws, especially that big play to Miles Sanders down the sideline where he completely overthrew him. And of course, I would say he doesn't know this. He's not going to give you the situation right now. He has to look over the game tape to see what happens, but in that press conference, he just sounded defeated. I understand he's typically a guy that's a little bit upbeat, and I would say he's always like, I had to do a better job and all that type of stuff, but he just seemed like a quarterback that he just looks over. He looks like he feels like he's playing. He can't pinpoint the reasoning for this team's struggle so far, especially the offensive side of the football.
No, we don't get to see his like facial reactions while we're doing this show. But the tone in his voice for sure does sound defeated. I mean, when he was asked about coaches' decisions to do X, Y, or Z on different plays, and he said, we trust the coach. It wasn't like we trust what the coach had to do. We just got to execute better. We trust the coach.
You're absolutely right, Phil. This is the quarterback, and we know we have the cliche phrases and the cliche quotes and all of that. But this is the quarterback who is literally going through the motions. It's, hey, I did what I could. We went out there. We got to trust in the coach. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We'll try again next week. And then thus and so, yada, yada, yada. And that's just not good enough.
Give me that.
Well, hello. Again, every episode there's some live TV snafu. We love it. That's why you do live.
I love it when my daughter grabs my phone while I'm doing a podcast. It's just
I'll say your kid's tackling better than a lot of players on the Eagles defense right now.
Oh yeah.
She could be linebacker.
We could do that. My daughter's better than Nathan Gary.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised.
Especially in coverage. I was like, once again, I feel like every week he's a guy that we're looking at the back of his jersey, and it's usually in a negative way. So, but
he said about he trusts and all, but then he said also that he understood when he was asked about the extra conservative play calling in overtime on that drive. They were what coach is so conservative that they're trying to set up for a 61-yard field goal? I mean, I know Jake Elliott had that 162-yard field goal a few years ago, but that you cannot play the game to set up a 62-yarder. You need to try to push that ball down the field a little bit more.
And I feel a lot of that play calling is he did not have faith in his quarterback and his offensive line, especially with Jason Peters getting injured and being out on that left tackle. I'll say the last thing you need to do is your quarterback that you're forced to throw or take a sack there, especially with no timeouts and with already being second and third down. So I don't know. I would say that's my take. I feel like Doug, I would say, and I agree with you, he was way too conservative there. I would say I felt they needed to try to chip away a little bit more. To try. If you want to settle for a field goal, that's fine. If you don't want to pick up the first down, but you can't play scared there, especially with your team is 0-2 at the point. What the hell do you have much to lose? You played a crappy football game against another 0-2 football team that was the worst team in football last season. I would say, where's the aggressive Doug? Like they were asked there about. I would say right before the end of regulation, why didn't they go for 2 to try for the win? What the hell do you have to lose? I would say this team's already in shambles. You need some type of spark. You need some type of sense of urgency. You need something to change to turn this season around. And I would say, Carson's playing bad, but Dougie P, I would say he's not the same Doug Peterson that we saw that Super Bowl run. He's playing scared as well.
What's his name? The coach down in Tennessee. Escapes my mind. Frank. Yeah. He did that last year. They were early in the season. They were just struggling, a meandering team. He went for 2 at the end of a game, won the game, and look at that run that sparked for that team. They then went on to a deep playoff run. They didn't get to the final game, but they made a decent run. That aggressive Doug. I mean, we say that Carson doesn't have confidence in his wide receivers. Nobody on this team has confidence in each other. Doug doesn't have confidence in one player. Carson has no confidence in each other. The defensive players don't have confidence in each other. There's no confidence anywhere on this team. And it starts from the top with Howie and Doug setting the tone, giving this team an identity, and they don't have it, and they haven't done it. And I don't want to hear any of this COVID, no offseason, because there are several undefeated teams in this league right now. So I don't want to hear any of those excuses and all. This comes from the top down, and it's really frustrating at this point that we have to have this kind of a conversation.
It is. It's absolutely frustrating because it seems like no matter where you turn, there isn't any consistency, and there is nobody really being held accountable. It's like, yeah, we got to do this better. Yeah, we got to do that better. Yeah, we trust in the coach. Well, when are you going to do it better? When is the coach going to make a different game plan? When is the defense going to step up? When are these things going to happen? You can't keep telling me you recognize the problem and make no effort to fix said problem. That is not going to work in a 16-game season. You're going to end up at the bottom of the barrel if this is to continue.
Yeah, I mean, you guys say that benching Carson and bringing up 2008 when McNabb was benched. Now, I might not be for benching Carson for Jalen Hurts, but maybe you throw Nate Sudfeld out there at first half next week and have Carson be the backup. I mean, I spent nonstop Sixers talking about how Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were never benched by Brett Brown. Ben Simmons has a 9-turnover game, and you just throw him out there the whole game anyway. Not holding those guys accountable. You do have to hold Carson Wentz accountable, and that does also sets the tone for the rest of the team. If you do something to set the tone for the rest of the team by benching your franchise quarterback, maybe it does send that message, and it needs to be sent. But I would go Nate Sudfeld if you're going to do that over Jalen Hurts.
You're absolutely right. And then, Kev, you're right. Kevin Nathaniel, friend of mine. You're absolutely right. Like, it hurts when you see the talent we passed on and then see what we have to deal with from key positions and how they struggle and saying, hey, we could have had this guy and we could have had that guy. But at a certain point, you have to realize you have who you have and they need to get the job done. We can't let them off the hook by saying, oh, we could have had this guy and we could have had that guy and we should have drafted this guy. You got who you got. They need to do their job week in and week out, and they're professionals. They get paid to do a job. They need to do that job.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll say with the season being 0-2-1 and the division still somewhat up in the air, the current score for the Cowboys-Seattle game, it is 7:37 left in the second quarter, tied at 9-9. Hang on, as it's updating, of course, as I'm reading the score, so I don't know if that has changed, but I'll say, do you guys feel that the Eagles can somehow find a way? I'm sure we'll talk about the next couple of weeks on All About the Birds live podcast as well. But I would say, since you're not on the program that often, I would say, what do you think the Eagles have to do to turn the season around, and do you think they can do it?
I think it's possible. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I think it's possible. I think if they are more aggressive, if they let the chips fall where they may, if they really leave everything, and it's cliched if you leave everything out there, but if you are aggressive to the point where it is what it is, this is what we're going to do, and we're not, backing off, and you're forcing guys to make plays, and you're putting them on notice that if you don't, then minutes can get cut, you can be off the field, then yeah, they can make a change. If you can get the defense, all it takes is one play, one moment. I've seen seasons. I followed this team. I just turned 35. I followed this team since I was a 6-year-old kid. I've seen moments where an entire season turned around because everybody got galvanized. So I'm not going to go out there and say that it's all for naught and there's nothing they can do and this one's in the cramper, because I know better. I've seen better. But they have to be galvanized. They have to come in with one thought that every game matters, and we can't let any play slip, and we got to give the maximum effort, or else they're going to find themselves in the same places week in and week out, making the same excuses. It's possible, but unless they improve, it may not be likely.
Yeah. It pretty much sums it up. I mean, they have to hold players accountable. They have to actually get healthy too. I mean, losing Dallas Goedert obviously hurt today. Who would have thought that at week 3 we'd be like pining for Alshon Jeffries to be back on this team? I mean, we desperately need Alshon Jeffries back on this team. And I would never have thought that that's what we would have been expecting. And we are at this point, And like I said, whether you bench Carson for Nate Sudfeld for the first quarter or first 2 quarters next week, you got to do something to send a message that this kind of lack of focus is not going to be acceptable. And I'm not sure where else you go, because who else are you going to bench? Are you going to bench Greg Ward? For who? You know what I mean? Are you going to bench Deontay Burnett? I mean, he was already on the practice squad. Does it even matter? We don't have many guys that we could bench to send that message. So if you're going to bench anybody, I guess it has to be, Carson. The other thing you could do maybe to make a change around, Nathan Geary isn't playing well. Jalen Mills played okay. We got some rookies. I know they haven't seen the field much. We have a linebacker and a safety that we drafted in the middle of the 3rd and 4th round, or 4th and 5th round. 3rd and 4th round. Just throw them out there. I mean, can they play? Can he play? Can Davian Taylor play any worse than Nathan Geary at this point?
Nope.
Give him a shot. Maybe some youthful energy spikes the energy level on the team. Where's Quez Watkins at this point? Is he hurt? I don't think he is. Put him out there on offense. He can't do any worse than J-Jaw. I mean, what's it going to hurt other than bringing some energy potentially to this team? So it's time to refocus the lineup a little bit.
You're right. You got to start throwing things at the wall and see what sticks at this point. There is no time for playing a conservative or go with what you think is supposed to work. And I'll talk about this with friends of mine discussing this team and what Doug Peterson, and to a larger degree, this franchise has shown over the last few seasons is they're a franchise of, well, this is supposed to work, so I'm going to do this until it does work, as opposed to this is not working, let me see what will. You cannot be that stubborn. Stubbornness leads to failure, and you have to start realizing when certain things aren't working that things have to be changed. You cannot sit here and go, well, it's supposed to work, and I know better than everybody else, so I'm going to keep doing what I do until it works.
But the things that do work, like running the ball with Miles Sanders, they don't stay consistent with it. So they do the things that don't work. Like I said, late in the game there, pulling Miles Sanders out on 2nd and 3rd when you're in the goal or the red zone, and then he doesn't see the field. The rest of that, not because of an injury, just because it's working. Let's pull him out of the game. It makes no sense, and you actually hurt the confidence of the rest of your team by doing that. Early in the game, they ran a play action draw of some kind with Corey Clement. You really think the defense is going to bite on a Corey Clement play action at this point? I mean, who is Corey Clement? He is a guy that caught a great catch in the touchdown, but has been a borderline NFL player the rest of his career. So, you do these things that make literally zero sense, but you're so stubborn to see that you just keep doing it. And it makes zero sense to me. Boston Scott had 9 carries or 5 carries. All the carries that Boston Scott and Corey Clement had today, or all the times they were on the field, Miles Sanders should have been out there for almost every single one of them, and they were not. And that's really frustrating right there.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. The one frustrating thing, again, is I would say Doug Peterson's game plan. I would say they were talking during the broadcast of Doug Peterson with what he expects from his game plan and how he designs for the week, and he brought up about the 2 tight end sets. I would say he feels that they're going to use the strength of their offense. Which, okay, yeah, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz are 2 great players, but it was just a week ago that, like we brought up before, the Bengals defense, they're not a great defense. They got gashed rushed on the ground by Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns for like 250-something yards. Pound the damn rock. Give it to Miles Sanders. Set the pace of the game. And like we said in our pregame show on Wednesday, control the pace of the game and control the clock. There was consistently too many times where Doug Peterson went completely away from the run game, took the ball out of Miles Sanders' hands. He did pass. There was 3 and outs left and right in that second half. And you're not getting, like we keep on saying, you're not going to get any type of rhythm offensively. And you need that confidence boost. You need to get some type of rhythm, especially for your quarterback. And unfortunately, I agree with you that Carson, there should be something set, and they should make a statement by either like benching him for a quarter or a half or something. You're not going to see that though. I would say this guy's being paid way too much money. I would say they're stuck with him to at least through next season. Unless he's injured, you're not seeing Jalen Hurts start. Otherwise, you set a complete circus once again. It was a little bit different circumstance when they benched Donovan McNabb. They were getting blown out by the Ravens at that point after he threw that interception right before halftime. So in that situation, you're like, look, we're getting our butts kicked. Pull McNabb, and then we'll go from there and move on to the next week at that point. But I'll say Carson has to play a better job. Doug has to do a better job. Defensively, they had to play 4 quarters. And until they do that, we're not going to see a winning football. We're not going to see a win from this football team. Next week, I would say we were talking going in to this game that, hey, next week, the 49ers, that could be the game to help them move in the right direction with the depleted football team. After this week, next week's nothing's getting freaking teed. There's no way in hell that we can go into next week thinking that definitely next week that's going to be a victory against the 49ers, especially going on the road after the performance they had today against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the comment here from George, he was on the show last week, I believe. Isn't it strange that Ertz showed up for the first time when Goddard went out? I hate that. That's so not a team-oriented thought process, but it might be a thought process actually going on. And it's kind of frustrating that Ertz is, letting his contract issues dictate his play like that. But it might be something else that's being looked at there. I mean, if we lose Dallas for any significant amount of time, that's one of our few weapons on offense. There's no way we beat San Francisco, even like come close without Dallas Goedert, Deshaun Jackson out there next week. There's zero shot of that. Zero.
Well, yeah, especially. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, you guys earlier had gave your bright spot, and I completely agree with Phil. Like, there's no shot if they don't get those things done. But the one thing I saw that was a bright spot today that people were maligning was, to me, the kicking game. I enjoyed Jake Elliott being money when he was called upon to kick the field goals. He was making them. So can we please get off Jake Elliott's back? That's just one thing. That was my bright spot.
Well, then after that false start penalty there in overtime, would you have given him the shot to kick the 66-yarder to win the game?
What the hell? Why not? He's the only one that shows like he's game to actually care to try. Why not?
I would have loved to have seen Carson's response. I would have loved to have seen like physically his response to the question, because he was asked, "How did you feel about the tie?" Or the punt for the tie there at the end of the game. And he said, well, I understood. But I'm sure his facial expressions gave it away that he wasn't for that. You either needed to go for it on 4th down there or let Jake Elliott try to kick a record field goal. You might as well.
I get why they went for the punt, I would say, because if you miss that kick, you're giving Bengals basically tremendous opportunity to just move 5-10 yards for a field goal of their own for the win. And then you're looking at 0-3. I would say this team's already 0-2. Well, now they're 1. I mean, at the time they were 0-2. So in his eyes, like, hey, we get the half win. It helps our standings a little bit, but I somewhat agree with you. I would say you go for the freaking kick. What do you have to lose? This team's already in shambles. I would say look what happened in that Giants game when he kicked the 61-yarder, the win the game. That basically set the tone for the season. There was a huge momentum boost from this football team and the confidence boost that played the rest of the season out, regardless of them losing players, regardless of injuries. The next man up, they felt like they could win any game, especially after that, and how bad Carson played that game. I would say maybe that was once again, granted, I don't know if he would have made the 64-yarder. I don't know what the weather conditions was like. It didn't look too terribly bad, but I would say give the kid a shot. He's a veteran kicker. It's not so you gave him the shot as a rookie kicking the 61-yarder. This dude's been in the league for 4 years now. Give him the chance. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, I mean, it's right. No, we're double clicking comments again. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Where's this team's hunger? I mean, they have no hunger. They have no desire. They don't have any fight. They don't have that dog in them. They don't have anything. Where are the underdog masks? Let's bring them out. You know what I mean? This team needs something, and this team doesn't have it. It's because of the lack of identity. And yeah, absolutely no hunger at all. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, but if you would have kicked a 68-yarder or whatever it would have been after the false start, it would have been game winner also. It would have ended the game at that moment. It's a good comment right there.
I love these comments. Keep on bringing.
I actually do love that comment. The lack of fans are absolutely playing a factor in this.
A good one. Like,
well, they
did pipe in the booze last week when Carson was playing terribly.
Well, last week was the Fox broadcast. I'll say that's what I'll say from people I know that was down at the stadium. There were no boos inside the stadium, but this week the NFL allowed all teams, if they had less than 2,500 people in the stadium, as far as like fans, they were able to pipe in sound noise, I guess, or pipe in a little bit more stuff in the stadium. So granted, piping sound is completely different than actual fans. The atmosphere is completely different, so I don't know if it causes too much effect, which is I don't know how Matt Pryor got a freaking false start to begin with no freaking crowd noise that freaking interrupt him at all, but hey,
he showed his amateur. He showed how amateur he was. The defensive lineman made a little slap at the ground, and he bit on a basic, psych out technique there that's probably done in high school, and high school linemen might fall for that. Might not even in high school fall for that trick, but he fell for it. And that was an amateur move on Matt Pryor. And again, Matt Pryor, did not get the start week 1 that we all expected him to. Maybe it's because of plays like that he's shown in practice when the press aren't there watching, that he's just not ready for the big time moments to start.
Yeah, and there's a reason why they felt that I would say they didn't want to put him on Carson's blind spot when they moved Herbig today to left guard after Sayamalu being out for this for quite some time. They put Pryor at right guard. I guess they felt he was more comfortable there, or he, like you said, he wasn't ready to play, and they didn't want to put him in a position, especially with a struggling JP at left tackle. But as we finish things up here on the All About the Birds post game show, Jeff Warner, Phil Stiefel, Bobby Dubs from Last Out Media, the Eagles' leading writer for them. You guys have any final thoughts? I would say as we go into week 4, a pivotal must-win game against the San Francisco 49ers next week.
Well, if this week wasn't must-win, next week and the following week and the week after that are all now must-wins. They've got their backs to the wall. Carson last year played really well at the end of the season when his back was up against the wall. I mean, they're going to have to really find an identity, and they're going to have to do it really fast. And, I know the NFL has rules now, and there can't be Monday practices or whatnot anymore. But if I was the coach, I'd have everybody in there on Monday. I'd be turning tables, throwing chairs, and I'd be trying to do anything I can to light a spark under this team. Because if they do not, this is going to be a long first season of All About the Birds podcast here. We're going to have this is going to spiral into a 3 or 4 win team if we do not turn it around immediately. And even if we lose next week, they have to come out next week with an identity and show that this is a real team to worry about.
Bobby, final thoughts?
I think my key word, and I mentioned it earlier, my key word for next week and every week after that is desperation. You have to play with desperation. You play like this is the last game you got. This is the last play you got. This is the last snap you got. Because every play after this is pivotal. This season can go south quickly. You have to play with desperation. Like every play matters. And if you don't, you'll find yourself sitting at home with a lot of these games meaning diddly squat.
Yeah,
no doubt. This is the All About the Birds post-game show. We appreciate everyone for tuning in as the Eagles tie the Cincinnati Bengals 23-23. The fall to 0-2-1 on the season. Thank you for tuning in. I will say we'll be back this coming Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Make sure to follow all those platforms. Bobby, thank you for coming on the program today. We appreciate it. You can check out his work at lastoutmedia.com. You can follow him on Twitter as well, YoungSpud1385. 5. Bill on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. Myself, Jeff Warner, NFL. Again, we'll be back this coming Wednesday with All About the Birds preview shows. We break down the Eagles and 49ers game. John will be back with us then, and we'll have a special guest as well. As we say on here on All About the Birds, hopefully talking to win next week. Go Eagles.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.